What is going on, Herd? Thank you for tuning in to another Black Sheep TV production. Today we are teaching you how to formula drift. Now, formula drift is not like Gymkhana. Gymkhana is a simple track that you have to make it from one point to the end, basically, in a set way. This is similar in that, but if you don't make it in the set way, you lose points. You also have one other person running with you, which would be on my left, on the left side of the barricade. Well, this barricade is called the chicane, and the chicane setup is where you start. Now, if you watch real Formula Drift, the real chicanes are set up in a much different fashion, and basically that real world setup is for horsepower differentiation. It allows a lower horsepower car to be able to keep up with a higher horsepower car off of the line. In this game, not really needed, so we just set up our chicanes really basic. Why am I teaching you how to Formula Drift so late in the game? Well, there's a Formula Drift playlist that is being released. Well, it should be within hours of the release of this video. Now, Formula Drift has one line, and you are pretty much graded on different things. We're not going to go into the grading and the judging standards so much. We're going to go into how to properly hit a line. The way that I have set up my Formula Drift tracks is red are clipping points and yellow are touch and goes. A clipping point, as you see here, is a place where you're trying to fill your bumper in the entire section. Now this is odd because this is a inside clipping point, so we're not going to get too stuck on that. We're actually going to skip this and go right into here. Now this is a big long section. How do you fill that? It's yellow. Okay, yellow is a touch and go, meaning that it's on the outside, right? So I'm turning left and it's on my right. If it's on my right and I'm turning right, that means it's on my inside, correct? It's not on my inside. I'm taking a left around that initial corner, and I'm coming in here. So basically, I'm just trying to throw my ass end out here and get my rear bumper because it's on the outside. The outside is filled with my rear bumper or rear quarter panel, kind of. That's kind of the way that you're meeting up with this point. Now, because this is on the outside, so now we're transferring that left motion to a right motion. Now I didn't fill this at all, if you notice that. I completely missed this section. Let me show you what a hit is. I missed that section because I didn't get within a foot of it. So I'm coming here. I'm trying to hit this touch and go. That was within a foot, right? Oh, that was definitely within a foot because I crashed. But all you're trying to do is get within a foot. Within a foot. Within a foot. That's another yellow outside within a foot. Now I'm seeing that it goes, okay, so now I see a red. And that white and red is the whole clipping point. So it starts from right there to right there. I need my ass end to be as close to that, within a foot away from that, for that whole section. Not just one point of it. That's not a touch and go. That's a clipping point. That's red and white. Now remember that clipping point we started in the beginning. So because we're taking a right, and that is on our left, that is an outside clipping point, right? Because we're taking a right, and on our outside of our turn is that. If we were taking a left around this, it would be inside clipping point. Let's go back to our inside clipping point. If this is confusing the hell out of you guys, just stay tuned. You can easily restart this video after the video's done. And if you're still confused, just try to really dial in on what I'm saying. I notice that it's a lot of things that I'm saying at once. As soon as you understand what I'm talking about, super simple, super simple. So where are we? We're in the startup. The startup is what? It's called the chicane. So I'm on the right, and we're taking a left. So our outside is what? If we're taking a left and turning left, the outside is the opposite of what we're turning. It's the right, okay? So because we're taking a left, the outside car, which will be me on the right, is the lead car. So I would be taking off, then immediately behind me would be that car on the left. He would be coming in right behind me. And I'll show you some examples. I'm going to get a friend on here later, and we'll show you some examples of exactly how this works. But for right now, this is plenty for you to get this thing down. So we started off. We're going into this point. Now we're engaging in like that, right? With a little bit of left trigger to really get us the exact slowdown that we need and the full e-brake to slide. Now I did a little bit too much because I wanted to completely stop, but this is where you're looking to be. If I had a little bit more momentum, I would have came out a little bit further with that ass end, and I would have been in this type of a motion. where because it's an inside clipping point, I'm taking a left and the clipping point is on my left. I am trying to hit it with my front bumper. How am I going to take a left and the clipping point's on my left and I'm hitting it with my rear bumper? That's not possible. So your inside clipping points and inside touch and goes are filled with your front bumper, and your outside clipping points and outside touch and goes are filled with your rear bumper. Simple, right? So we got this point. That's going to be filled in that motion. That brings us out to here. That's filled in that motion. We transfer. That's filled in that motion. We're transferring again. All these are outside points. Outside point again. That's how that one's filled. And that's bringing us into this final one. We're taking a left and it's on our left. What does that mean? Ding, ding, ding. Inside clipping point. So how am I doing it? With the momentum, I'm flipping my car around. Now that was a little bit shabby because we didn't have the momentum. The momentum comes from the speed that's coming out of this one. So let's do this clipping point properly, and let's enter into that final clipping point with a proper example. Did I bash out my rear window? I did somehow. I don't know how I did that, but I did it. Oh, man, I messed it up. A little bit too much momentum on that one. You know what? I'll try to throw in a full lap for you guys and just try to show you and explain. We'll get that final clipping point. It's much easier when you just do it through the full lap, as odd as that is. So the first thing when you're starting it off is just try to get from the very beginning. So that first clipping point. Although that's a tough one to slide into and get, if you can't get that first clipping point because it's a little bit more difficult, just slide around it, slide in a drift around it, and get into that second touch and go. And then stay in all of the touch and go transfers. Try to get your clipping and just try to get as close to all of them as possible. They're all filled by getting your car, either your front or rear bumper, depending on where the point is. They're all filled by 1 foot to 1.5 foot designations. You want to get as close as you can, inches away. Even sliding across them is perfect. But a foot away you'll fill them. But a foot away you'll fill them all right. So let's get a lap in. You notice how I straightened out there to correct myself and it just completely threw me off my line? That's how easy it is to judge in Formula Drift. Now, it doesn't come down to that. There's a full point system. You're graded on 3 different aspects. That's why we're not going into the judging system. If we do, or if I ever have my drift team to the point where we are competing and we are offering a competitive system, then I'll explain how it's judged in this game, or at least how I would judge it and how the whole EMDA platform was going to be judged, and it was going to be a very, very good platform, a very efficient platform. Notice how that first clipping point is very difficult to get. You're kind of filling it with your front tire, that front left tire, more than your front bumper. But the last example there was not the best. And there's that clipping point filled quite well. Again, that last clipping point, it's not going to be the entire thing. It's more so like 3/4 of it. That was a stop there. That would have lost me points as well. Locked up my e-brake way too much. But you guys can get the point of exactly what you're needed to do. It's pretty simple. So now that you get it here, I'm going to bring you to one other Formula Drift track and then explain it on that track too, so then you understand it. And here we are. So we're actually showing you the Kranzenberg North and Kranzenberg South. And the reason is because look where we are. We're at the Kranzenberg Hotel. I believe the other one is Kranzenberg Hotel and Resort. That is on 2 completely separate ends of the map. Right now we are down here, and we will be taking this drift line up and around, and where we were before is way up here. We're taking this drift line in and out. A little bit more of an efficient way to stance this thing in the front, if you have this type of a skirt, is back here. It's further away from your engine, and it'll actually give you a little bit more of a ability to shoot and not damage your engine, because that's really what's happening when your car is smoking, is you're shooting through the... Oop, it's my controller going shitty on me. So let's get into it. First, let's take a little roll through. Where are we at, guys? Name it. What is it called? What is it called? The chicane. The chicane. All right. So we're leaving the chicane. Where are we taking? Let's go through these. What have we learned? I hope you guys are taking notes, because you're gonna need it, because we're taking a left. The outside is our right, meaning the right side is the outside car, basically, and the outside car is the lead car. So we would be leading. We would be starting on the right. This is red and white, so this is a clipping point, meaning that was not filled properly at all, meaning, yeah, I need to go back and show you guys how to properly fill that. And basically, you want to be on the outside of the course, so if this was the chase car, he would be letting the lead car go and following right in behind him, just like this. Okay, we got red and yellow. Oh, man, I haven't been on this track in a while. Holy Christ. Alright, so we really messed that up, but what we have is 2 sections that we need to fill. And it looks like our transfer is going to be right here, right? Because we're taking this transfer. So these are both outside, transferring out. We have another outside right here, and we have a red and white right there. So we need to get our front end around that. And that's the course. That's the end of it. Flags designate the end. This allows you to come back up to the front. And get set back up at the chicane. So, part 2 of the chicane setup. Kind of goes into how it's graded, but this also goes into Formula Drift 101. So, I'm the lead car, and I'd be taking my run. As lead car, what I want to do is make sure that I hit every touch and go and every clipping point and fill them properly. And the chase car is making sure that they also do that, but keep the same pace as me and keep the same angle as me. That's the whole thing. If they can do that, it's a perfect chase run. If I can do all of my clipping points and touch and goes perfectly, that's a perfect lead run, meaning it would kind of equal itself out, and it would be a one more time. The odds of that happening are pretty little. Mistakes are pretty easy in Formula Drift. Now, once I go and make a full run as the lead car, and the chase car chases me, we then immediately come back to the chicane, and we do run 2, where I am now the chase car, and the chase car before is now the lead car, and the whole game gets flipped around. Now the lead car is trying to do the whole setup perfectly, and I'm also trying to do the setup perfectly with all the points, but also keep his pace, and also keep the angle that he has. Alright, so that's Formula Drift. It's 2 cars going at it head to head, and it's really about style. It's really showing you your style behind the wheel. You're throwing the car in the uncontrollable state, and then controlling it in that uncontrollable state. As odd as that is, that's drifting for you. Let's get a good lap in this thing. That was a decent lap. I could have probably done better on a couple clipping. I could have for sure done better on a couple clipping points back there. Actually, the touch and go should to be more precise. And I kind of straightened out in the beginning. But all I'm trying to show you guys is that it goes track to track. They're all made exactly to coincide with each other. They all match up. They have the same designated touch and goes and clipping points. Inside and outside are all the same. Chicane setups are consistent. To have fun and have a good time even outside of my crew, my organization, my affiliation is very possible with these tracks, and that's the whole intent, is you don't have to be right there with me having fun. You can have fun with your own setup, doing your own thing, and maybe you'll be the best in your crew. My crew, I'm looking for the best on the planet. Literally, I want the best drifters, and I want to, under this EMDA guideline. We'll go into more later. I'll make a video about what we're looking for in the new crew very soon. This is Formula Drift. Now, what vehicles can you use in Formula Drift? Here's where the real discrepancies are going to be coming, because the Rapid GT is what I say is not really that great of a Formula Drift car. Can it make it through some of these tracks? Yeah, it can make it through some of these tracks, but it does not make it through another one of my tracks. And now the LSIA track that you guys will be seeing, that track, the big circle track, which is modeled after the real world Atlanta Formula Drift track, it's impossible. There's no way that car's making it around it. At least the way that it needs to be done, or it's designed to be done. This car makes it around it. The Schwarzer makes it around it. And there's a couple other cars that come pretty close. Both the Mamba and the Faction made it around. You guys have seen this track that I'm speaking of in some of my past videos. Actually, I think we took the Mamba and the Faction there in the first portion, but I could be mistaken. Those are all that really efficiently are making it around in the Formula Drift track. I would suggest you choose in the beginning a Schwarzer. A Schwarzer is slower. You will make a few, you're going to make some mistakes, but that's going to really allow you to get this Formula Drift layout down. This vehicle is for when you actually get good. Do not start in this vehicle. Don't think, I like to start the hardest way possible. You're going to get so frustrated you're going to give up. You need to start in the Schwarzer. The Schwarzer is slower. Alright, so what you're going to run into, I need to talk about this right away. Do you see how much the car is shaking, literally vibrating? That will affect your drift. It literally will affect the slipperiness of your car. Unfortunately, you need to hold Y. You need to get yourself a new car. You need to restance. This is practice, anyways. If you were in competitive mode, you're stuck with that car, in my opinion. That's your car. You crash, you crash. That's realistic. Practice, it's not so much. You're going to want the new, fresh car almost all the time, and you're not going to want to crash. The Schwarzer and the Banshee are the two worst for that, and they're the two best in Formula Drift. So unfortunately, you're going to deal with the shakiness when you're practicing in Formula Drift. Now let's get back to comparing this to the Schwarzer, show you guys the difference, a lap to lap, kind of lap to lap action, side to side, top to top, whatever it is. Enjoy. And there you have it. You can see the difference in the twitchiness. You can see the difference in the speed. You can see the difference in the setups, everything. This car is not the one you want to learn in. And I'm going to tell you that right away. The car you want to learn in is the Schwarzer. Plain and simple. This is a guide on how to learn how to Formula Drift and what Formula Drift is. We taught you about clipping points. We taught you about touch and goes. We taught you about inside and outside. We taught you about the lead car and the chase car and what side you can expect to see the lead and chase depending on that first corner. We also explained the chicane setup. We explained how Formula Drift is ran with the two different runs. The lead driver of the first run will be the chase driver of the second run, and vice versa. And what we didn't go into is the whole grading and the judging and how it is. And that's the reason we didn't do that is because that's kind of open to interpretation. It's different per affiliation. And in my affiliation, just the way that I would judge it doesn't mean it's the way that someone else would judge it in their affiliation. So it's not really that mandatory right now. What you need to realize most is that it's a two-man operation. The chase driver, the lead driver, and it's all about having a good time. And so this is really where a drift team comes into play, is this Formula Drift setup. You want to not only have one or two people to have that are sometimes online and that are kind of in your skill bracket or caliber or just trying to have fun drifting with you. You want many of them because you always want to have runs, and say that it's always beneficial to see how other people run as well. Just because so and so runs right next to you and you can keep their pace doesn't mean that so and so is going to be running right next to you and that you can keep their pace. So you better be practicing a little bit more to make sure that if you do get into a competitive situation with the Formula Drift under this situation with this type of drifting, that you can handle yourself fully. And that's what I've been working on for a while. And you can kind of see where I am. I still call myself rusty. I did take a little bit more time in warming up with my car here again from the actual Does It Drift video, which was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday already now. And today I am having a good time and just focusing on this car. You guys, I really appreciate you tuning in. If you like this video, leave a big thumbs up. If you are not subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. What are you doing? And be a member. Have your opportunity to come drift with me in the future. Download these tracks. Have a good time, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Do what you do. As always, stay happy, stay positive, my heart, and we will definitely speak to you and next time.